Hey YouTube viewers, hashtag my global family. This is Dre Abeita, the YouTube academic, here with your hashtag Abeita reality dose. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020. And it is always a long week, you guys. And I think that has to do with something with this global pandemic, right? This thing called COVID-19 that is basically influencing all of our lives, our lived experiences, changing the way in which we work, in which we communicate and create relationships, in which our children go to school, and in the way that we do business and go about our daily lives. So we have to always take a moment to congratulate ourselves and celebrate all of our triumphs. And I'll be honest, you guys, it has not been going so well with me, right? I talk about being a scholar, revolutionary activist with PTSD, which also means that I have ups and I have downs, right? And you have to love every part of yourself. And I love every part of myself, even though sometimes it is more difficult than others. With my PTSD and with my gastric bypass that saved my life, I have been diabetic since I was 15 years old, and I was a sophomore in high school, all the way up until 3 years ago. And I had significant amounts of damage to my eyes and to my legs. I had also had concerns about my liver. I had an extensive amount of family members who had had damage due to diabetes, so I made the life-changing decision to have gastric bypass. And I went from 289 pounds to my current COVID weight. Unfortunately, I've gained 14 pounds, you guys, and I'm 184 right now. Usually I'm about 172, 174, and I've put on some weight. And I've been eating a lot of my emotions. But because I have gastric bypass, I have literally been making myself sick. And so I have had to deal with the reality of how to deal with all the stress, right? I'm literally making myself sick. And as a person with PTSD, I have coping mechanisms to help me deal with stress. And because we are stuck at home, my usual coping mechanisms of 21 miles of cardio and going to my favorite Planet Fitness down here on Rio Bravo, literally 4 to 5 times a week, and I'd be there for 2 hours, 3 hours if I was being really good, that's no longer an option, right? My partner and I have literally talked about how it'll be at least a year before we feel comfortable and safe to really go out to gyms anymore, right? They're talking about how they've linked this to choirs. Public speaking can also be linked to spreading COVID. And when you're at a gym, you're huffing and puffing and you're, running around, you're on the elliptical, you're lifting weights, you're breathing in, you're breathing out. And it's going to be a target for people, and COVID will go through the gyms. So it is not safe for me to go to the gym. My old coping mechanisms of working out that I had previously had used have not been available to me. And I have worn myself ragged for the last couple of weeks, supporting my students, making sure everything got done for the 3 student organizations that I'm part of for the end of the year, making sure I was going to all of my meetings, making sure my family was fed and safe this entire time has definitely been very trying. Right? And so I had been overeating and making myself sick. And this week, I realized that the 14 pounds that I've gained in the last couple of weeks, because if you guys remember from my videos, right, the week that I was running for UNMGPSA president, I actually lost 4 or 5 pounds that week. And so this is recent weight that I've gained. And I've been really unhappy. You guys, I put the unicorn, right? Mo, our unicorn, I put a few days ago on my video. And for you guys at home, that's going to be an indicator that I'm not doing so great, right? And I had to put Mo up this week because I had crashed. And one of my mechanisms after every semester is I clean my house, right? The world is so uncontrollable One of my coping mechanisms to feel safe and to feel secure is to reclaim my space. And so usually between semesters, I'll paint or I'll clean a room. This time we washed walls, right? I told you guys, I'm giving my updates. I've been cleaning out my closet and washing my walls, and we're going to paint this weekend. And I literally ran my body every single night until I passed out on the couch. I worked and worked and worked and washed and washed and washed until I couldn't think anymore. Because to be completely honest, as well educated as I am, every time I take in a different piece of what COVID-19 really means and how this transforms the rest of our lives, I'm uncertain and I'm scared. And when I'm scared, I get angry, right? And I try to figure out, if I feel out of control, what can I control and what can I do? So in my agony of being depressed, in my working myself to the bone the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, in my overeating, right? I'm eating a lot of sugar to self-soothe. I've decided that I've been doing some harm. And I think about my therapist, and unfortunately, COVID has also cut off my ability to see my therapist. So please, I've been relying on my family and my friends to reach out and talk to them. But during these times, please reach out to your healthcare professionals when and at all possible. And so I thought about it, and I decided I'm gonna stop. I think about what my therapist would usually say, and she would say, are you feeding it, or are you doing something about it, right? I have been depressed, and I've been eating my depression, and I've been working myself silly so I don't have to think about how the world is unraveling and how our government is not adequately addressing all of these people dying, right? I looked at the numbers again, and I'm Native American for the Pueblo of Isleta, and over 50% of the people who are dying of COVID are Native American. And I think it was 58.8% of the cases of diagnoses are Native American. My people are being ravaged right now, and it is resulting in death. And that's a lot. That's a lot for your brain to take in, right? When your entire community are losing their lives, and the inequity that you have been trying to fight against for the last 15 years, these disparities, it's not hypothetical. These are my friends' family members dying. These are my own family at risk. And I think about what that means, right? What does this mean? These deaths in communities of color, right? In New Mexico, it's Native American communities. And the rest of the United States, it's Black communities that are getting hit at 60% rates. And how do we bounce back from this, right? I'm not talking about the economy. I'm not talking about capitalism. I'm not talking about how many years it takes you to get your second car. I'm talking about the ability for our people to go to college, for the ability for our people to buy a home, for their ability for us to actually retire. Because my partner and I are talking about working until we die. I had put off having children because it was always when I'm done with grad school. And I am almost done with grad school. And I finally got my health together. And we're faced with a pandemic. And I worry about what kind of world our children will be born into. Because my partner deserves to have children. And we will. I just don't know what world they're going to inherit. And that is why I do the work that I do, and why I'm a radical, and why I speak out. And people always say that the number one thing about me is I'm passionate. And I can't afford not to be passionate. Our community's lives literally depend on it. And I can no longer afford to be alone. And I'm not, and I haven't been. But sometimes when you're the one getting fired, and you're the one getting pushed out of classes, and you're the one being called a racist, white basher, man-hater, it feels awfully lonely because people applaud you for standing up for everyone else's rights. But you need for everyone to stand up with you because everyone's lives are literally at stake right now. I don't know if Native American people are going to be afforded the opportunity to go to Dartmouth College like I did. I don't know if we're going to be afforded the community opportunity to go to the University of New Mexico. We are once again facing a 2.6% tuition increase this semester. And I am privileged enough to have a partner who, although is at 75% of his pay because of COVID-19, will still be able to pay our mortgage, which will still allow me, because of a scholarship from my Pablo Vasleta, to attend and finish my PhD over the next 2 years. But there are millions of Americans right now who can't afford rent and can't afford food, much less healthcare, much less people who are getting laid off right now. We have huge problems to address and a lack of response from our federal government. And depending on what state you live on, literally affects your life chances of surviving this. I really need for all of you guys to stand up with us and try to make a difference right now. We have a short memory and we forget that the New Deal that came in gloriously, that charged in and saved America after the Great Depression, took them years to pass. And our lives can't afford it. We've only months into this and we're close to hitting 100,000 deaths. This is unacceptable and we need to do something now. This is Dre Abeita, the YouTube academic. I need for you guys to please stay safe. Hashtag be safe, my global family. Hashtag social distancing. Hashtag wearing masks saves lives. I love you guys. I send love and hope and joy every day out into the world. All of our lives are on the line. We need to take this seriously. Have a good night and have a great weekend.